And welcome back to another podcast with Mr. Hagan. On this podcast, we're going to talk about the demand curve, and we're going to start by talking about what is called a demand schedule. That's this right here, a demand schedule. And a demand schedule is just a list of different prices and the quantity of some good that people buy at those different prices. So, for example, the way that you would read this is you would say, let's say my good maybe is units of apple juice or something like this, and when the price of apple juice is $1, people will buy 3 units of apple juice, and if the price goes up to $2, they will buy 2 units of apple juice. And if the price goes to $3, then they will only buy 1 unit of apple juice. So the higher the price that the apple juice goes, the less apple juice the consumer will buy. And that of course is the demand curve. And so what I've done here on this, let's just focus on this graph on the left. What I've done on this graph is I've graphed that demand curve. So I said when the price was $1, the consumer bought 3 units of the good, and so I put a dot there. And when the price was $2, they bought 2 units of the good, so I put a dot there. When the price was $3, they only bought 1 unit of the good, so I put a dot there, connected those dots, and that's a demand curve. And so a demand curve is just a representation of the demand schedule. And now what we want to say is let's assume that the price, as I have marked here, let's assume that the price of some good is, of this maybe apple juice, for example, is $2. And if the price is $2, then consumers will go across, the way you read this is you dotted line across to the demand curve and come down, consumers will want to buy 2 units of apple juice. When the price is $2, they'll want to buy 2 units of apple juice. So that's if I'm right here. When the price is $2, they'll buy 2 units of apple juice. But let's say that something changes, that the price changes, and let's say that the price goes up to $3 for some reason. Well, if the price of apple juice goes up to $3, how much apple juice will people be willing to buy? Well, our demand schedule says that when the price is $3, they'll only buy 1 unit of the good. So let's mark that. Let's come across till we hit the demand curve, and then we come down and we say when the price is $3, the consumer will only buy 1 unit of apple juice. And the way we describe that is we would say that we moved along the demand curve. We moved from this point to this point when the price went up. So we have very specific language for this. We say that whenever there is a change in the price of the good, in this case there was an increase in the price, then we say that the language we use to describe this is we say that we moved along the demand curve. We moved along the demand curve. We moved from this point to this point along the demand curve. And then finally, we call that a change in quantity demanded. A change in quantity demanded. That is a change in quantity demanded. And I'll use the shorthand. I'll call it this way. Say it this way. I'll say it's a change in Q sub D. A change in the quantity demanded. So that will always be true. If the price goes up and the quantity goes down and we moved along the demand curve, then that is called a change in quantity demanded. A change in quantity demanded. So that's what happens when you move along the curve. In the next podcast, we'll talk about what happens if something changes other than the price. So we will talk about that in the next podcast. Thanks for joining me. This has been Mr. Hagan, and we'll see you on the next podcast.